A lot of reaction to the president's speech last night, but none more worthy of its own segment than that of new Democratic Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio Cortez. And here's why.
The president should not be asking for more money to an agency that has systematically violated human rights. The president should be really defending why we are funding such an agency at all. Because right now, what we are seeing is death. Right now, what we are seeing is the violation of human rights.
But she didn't just stop at that, slamming ICE. She took it to a whole other level with this.
He's fighting against almost every way that people can actually legally enter this country, forcing them to become undocumented, and then he's trying to attack their undocumented status. This is systematic, it is wrong, and it is anti-American. Those women and children trying to come here with nothing but the shirts on their back to create an opportunity and to provide for this nation are acting more in an American tradition than this president is right now.
All right, Jesse, she was subjected to some journalistic criticism over this, obviously, and defended herself against being called vacuous. How do you reconcile, how would she reconcile that with such seemingly arguable, mindless comments?
Well, as someone who's been called vacuous, I can sympathize with her. I'm getting AOC fatigue. She's everywhere. She's on 60 Minutes. She's on MSNBC. She's all over the internet. I'm kind of over it already. Think about what she's saying. She's saying that the illegal aliens are more American than the president of the United States. She's a reverse birther. Okay? It's the opposite of what Trump said. And now she's saying that ICE agents are committing human rights violations. ICE agents are the actual people that apprehend illegal immigrants for committing human rights violations like child sex trafficking and homicide and things like that. She's saying in the midst of decades best wage growth, GDP growth, and unemployment. Hey, you know what? Capitalism isn't working. Let's try socialism. It's the kind of stuff you hear your average college Democrat say, and you kind of just roll your eyes. But now she's a member of Congress. Training wheels are off. She's popping wheelies through the country, throwing hand grenades out there. She's a problem, not for Republicans. She's a problem for Pelosi. That's what I think.
I think she's a problem for Schumer more than even Pelosi.
Chuck or Nancy, whoever.
Well, I think she's a delight for Republicans, apparently.
Well, she's good for ratings here at Fox.
I think all over the conservative media universe, they seem to delight in what they call it, AOC now. But I must tell you, though, guess what? The American people agree with her.
Oh, we are a socialist country now? I didn't know that.
I'm saying in terms of the American people say the Republicans are responsible for this shutdown. And secondly, that when it comes to separating families and children from parents, Americans don't like it. Americans think
they want to open borders.
Americans want to abolish ICE.
I think when people say, oh, you know what? These people come and sometimes scare families and workers with these raids. Remember when Republicans said about ATF jackbooted thugs? Well, guess what? Imagine if you're an immigrant and you see your grandmother or your cousin being raided and taken away, you say, oh, my God. So
I think Republicans said that when the guns were sold to Mexican drug cartels that killed a border agent here.
You missed the news.
I think, no, that was the news one.
Dana, you were saying that it's more of a problem for Schumer.
Yes, I just say so. The Democrats are already trying to get their 2020 game going, and they're super hopeful. They think that they can make Trump a one-term president. Well, okay, so we'll see how that goes. But if they don't win back the Senate, they will not be in a position of power. It is really difficult. And I think that for Pelosi, where the energy is in the party right now, it helps in the House to have AOC out there and all of these things that they don't really have to defend them that much. But if you actually want to have power in the country, you have to win back the Senate. And I think that the more she's out there, the more difficult it is for Chuck Schumer to try to make any gains on the Republicans, and that they're more likely, in the 2020, Republicans more likely to keep the Senate or actually even expand the number of seats that they have.
Greg?
Yes.
What would the messaging be for compassionate, more moderate Democrats who don't agree that the human rights violations and that there's just death with ICE and that there's some type of moderate ground that includes the reality of the human rights violations being committed by those being apprehended by those at the border, et cetera?
I don't want to help them out. No, I would actually say that you know, she's okay. She is the Democratic Party's Trump in the sense that she is galvanizing social media via extreme and memorable pronouncements. Every morning she gets up and she says, "What's my locker up?" What's my build the wall? And she comes up with something every day that like ends up on shows like this. But I think she's betraying her constituency. Illegal immigration affects the wages. It affects the job market of minorities. That is a stone cold fact. And it is, Juan, it is. And
yes. I think what's a stone cold fact is that immigration actually helps economic growth.
Legal.
Yes, legal.
Illegal feeds into systems that then result in categorically low wages and non-compliance and lack of benefits and lack of the things that people on the left
This
call
reminds
for.
me of like Mitt Romney's gardeners and Trump people at Trump's properties being said, oh yeah, I guess we're illegal immigrants. Oh.
Well, I don't follow that.
Oh,
that wasn't what I was saying.
Who's doing the work in the country?
What I'm saying is that cheap labor hurts minorities or people that are on the lower rung of the ladder trying to get a job. You can puff all you want, Juan. That's a fact.
Oh, yeah, so
the problem is, but let me finish, Juan, because you talked a bit.
Okay.
We have to get over the fact of they're going to accuse you of being sexist if you criticize her. It's actually sexist if you don't criticize her. Yep. You got to go up and you got to say your ideas are old, you're refreshing in your delivery, you're young, you're exciting, but your ideas are as dead as the socialism of the past.
But you know what? She's doing something, and she's not taking the traditional heat that you'd expect when you call a sitting president un-American.
Yeah.
Or you advocate for socialism, or you demean law enforcement. A couple of years ago, I'm old enough to remember doing those things. You'd get hit pretty hard. And now, I mean, this is like from the Bill de Blasio school of Democrats.
I think,
right?
though, that had been done to Obama by isolated Republicans, congressmen, a few congressmen. I think we can remember accusing President Obama of not being American and all that stuff. So I think.
And they got hurt for that.
Yeah, there's a mirror.
They got hurt for that.
There is a mirror image to everything on these parties. That's the sad thing, is that one side does exactly what the other side does. That's why there's so much redundancy.
I think they should have had her do the response, because then they would have had an ability to communicate with her a little bit and to channel it and to take all of this great energy and try to put it in the direction that they want.
I preferred the Nancy and Chuck response. That was a much better idea.
Memes.